We're going to be building a Jupyter Notebook on the cloud. Now, this is more for personal use, but the idea here is we have our own password that we set and type and add in, and then we can create our own Python notebooks, right? So with these Python notebooks, I can go ahead and say, hello there, hit enter, and run a Jupyter Notebook, and it's all in the cloud. Now, there's several reasons as to why I think that you should do this. Number one, having cloud-based notebooks makes running Jupyter Notebooks so much better. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But one of the reasons being, if I stop right now and go to a different computer to this IP address and log in, I can pick up right where I left off. That is huge for me for many, many reasons. I mean, sure, you can upload files, you can do a lot of things from here, but the main thing is being able to pick up right where I left off. That is pretty cool. The other thing is, if I need more resources for this Jupyter Notebook. In all seriousness, I have a Windows computer to do machine learning. I bought it years ago just to do machine learning, and I bought a GPU and I set up this custom machine and all this stuff, and it wasn't cheap, right? And I did that all for machine learning, but it was a flawed idea. The reason it's flawed is because GPUs change, software changes, technology changes. So we need to be able to adapt to those changes. And this is another reason as to why you'd want to go through this one, is so you can learn how to launch your own instance that runs this Jupyter Notebook. What that means is we're going to create something called an AMI. Even if you don't know what this is, it's okay. You're going to come in here, you're going to launch it. And this is where the key comes in. We can actually reconfigure or configure from scratch exactly how powerful we want our machine to run, and then we can use it for 10 seconds or an hour or 10 years and have that same capability from the get-go, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and provision a few of these right now just to show you how easy all of this is. But the idea overall is we can rapidly launch and create Jupyter Notebooks and have almost unlimited resources. And all of that is because of AWS. It makes it really, really easy to do that. So let's go ahead and provision and launch a few. And you'll be able to do all of this at the end of this series. So I have 5 new instances that I'm creating here. I'm going to add them into a VPC. It does tell me to put them in an auto-scaling group. I'm not going to do that because this is really just to show you how everything else can be done. I put them in my custom VPC, which we also cover, and then I add some storage to it. I'm going to make sure that each instance has 8 gigabytes of SSD storage, and then I'll add tags if I need. Security group is another thing that we'll cover, but it's sort of like another type of firewall that allows me to have HTTP access as well as SSH access. And then I'm going to go ahead and review and launch these. Let's make sure I've got my key pair. No worries if you don't know what that is. We'll cover that as well. And then we view these instances. So here they go. They are now pinning and loading. So it's going to take some time for them to initialize. But once they do, we'll take a look at each one. The main thing to notice here is each one of these has its own public IP address, which of course means if I grab that public IP address, I'll be able to go to it. And that of course means after it's already been provisioned. Okay, so I've let those provision and run, and now if I go to any of these IP addresses, I can go into a Jupyter Notebook. And of course, it's the same password that I initially set up for each one of them, but these are now all different instances of that original Jupyter Notebook. Notice that it says hello world.py, so it has some of these initial Python notebooks that I created. But they're not all sharing the same one. Like this is one of them and has different ones, So that's really what we're going towards. And getting all this set up is just a lot of configuration. It's not really that challenging to do once you do it. And the cool thing about all this is now I can come in here, go to actions, and just terminate all of the ones that I can terminate. That is, let's unclick some of the ones that are already terminated. And I terminate all of these instances. That, of course, means several things. One of them that I won't be able to access this IP address anymore. But if I ever need to run a Jupyter Notebook again, I could just spin up this AMI. All this stuff we discuss, we go in detail, we make sure that you know how to do it so you can do it at any time. Now, the long-term solution is to add other features to this than just what I'm showing you. But the short-term solution, this is pretty cool, I think. I think it's nice to be able to build a cloud-based Jupyter notebook. So let's go ahead and get started.